Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. In the overnight session, we saw that ES continued to balance in a very narrow range, but near the top of the recent range. So far, the buyers are maintaining control, and continued balance near the top of the range can result in a continuation move and a upside breakout. Heading into the open, we have the primary resistance at 2106.75 to 08.75, essentially yesterday's close and the all-time high. And again, if we continue churning up here, then it can certainly result in a continuation to some higher prices. And above 08.75, there is no hard resistance. But given the recent ranges and volatility, we could see some resistance at 2116 quarter to 18 quarter. And in the event of a a lot of volume in the market and some big momentum, we could even reach 21.25 to 27, at which point we would really be exhausting the intraday range, and that's a spot where the buying could certainly shut off and we could see some more aggressive sellers step into the market. On the downside, we have support at 2101 to 03, and in order for the buyers to maintain control in the short term, ideally ES should hold above the 01 to 03 area, and if we start breaking below it, that would mean that we've failed essentially at the all-time high, and at that point the short-term control could shift from the buy side to the sell side, and a break below yesterday's low would just confirm that, and it could lead to some short-term directional movement down into 95 quarter and most likely 91 to 93. And then this is an area that can still be defended by buyers because, break below 99.75 doesn't really mark a big balance breakdown or anything. It would simply be roughly a 2-day balance that would be breaking below. So short term, it would shift the control from buy side to sell side, but it doesn't mean that it has to result in a complete change of trend. So buyers can still be active at 2091 to 93. We have a high volume node at 2091 that you can really lean against. So, that means that price can go down a little bit below even the zone and it would still be okay. Buyers can still be active pretty much anywhere at 2090 up to 2093, and it can result in a bounce back up towards 99.75, 01 to 03, and potentially even higher depending on the level of momentum we're seeing in the market. If we really just slice through 91, that's really the only scenario where it would be signaling a stronger shift in control. And at that point, we could see some lower prices and even go all the way down to 80.5 to 82.5, which is really the balance area low, the balance area that we broke out from. So then that could get tested. But the expectation is that if we head lower, buyers will defend that 2091 high volume node and be active at the zone for at least a tradable reaction. But that scenario would only come into play if we completely failed at the initial resistance zone and then broke below the initial support zone. As long as we're just balancing in this range, and especially near the top of the range, we're still going to give buyers more edge, and the expectation is going to be for a upside continuation move. On the econ front, we have consumer confidence at 9 a.m. Central, and we also have Janet Yellen speaking today at 9 a.m. Central Time. So those are really the market movers this morning. So early in the session, just the fact that we're balancing up here can still result in some upward price movement, but the real move is probably going to come a little bit later in the morning after consumer confidence is out of the way, and then based on Janet Yellen's testimony, of course, there can be some market movement as well, so just something to be aware of. But that is essentially the context heading into this morning's open. So just keep an eye on ES to see whether we're holding above initial support, especially if we're just kind of crunching up and putting in a narrow range near the top here, and understand that that can result in a upside break. Now, in order to get a real sustained upside break, we would need to see some strength on the advanced decline and participation from the other markets, from Nasdaq and Russell. And if we don't have that, it doesn't mean that ES can't go higher in the short term, but it's probably not going to sustain those higher prices. It will then be more prone to failure. But in the short run, we can break out and then still come back down. But how strong the internals are, that's really what will provide an indication of whether this is a sustainable continuation move or something that could potentially fail. So keep an eye on the NYC tick and the advanced decline to just gauge the level of strength in the market to figure out, can it really continue going higher? But in order to just put in a breakout, we don't really need to see a whole lot of strength. In order to do that, the strength really counts in order to sustain that move. So those are the main ideas heading into the open. Let's see if the buy side can maintain control this morning, and we'll take it from there.